are officially 0%.
Oh my god.
KRZLE.
Yeah. Charles. Yeah.
Burt Reynolds pulls out a banana and
Yes,
starts
that's what I was
peeling it.
going.
Butterfly kisses.
Oh my god. Hey, fuck these drums.
The synopsis just isn't good. Oh my god. Okay. And on that note.
Welcome, everyone, to a brand new episode of What Was That Called Again? Our first of 2025. My name is Thomas.
I'm Will.
And this is a movie podcast where I have selected 3 movies, and I'll read their IMDb plot descriptions to Will, and then Will will have to match the plot descriptions to the correct title.
Still being forced.
Has no choice in the matter. And let's go ahead and do a really quick drink check.
Drink check. I'll let you start off the new year.
Sure. First drink of 2025, ladies and gentlemen, despite being recorded like half a month in advance.
Shh, don't tell them.
Yeah, I am. I just made myself a piping hot cup of hot cocoa.
Ooh, hot cocoa.
A first on my end here for the podcast. Yeah, delicious.
I was expecting coffee, not hot cocoa.
The old Swiss Miss. Yep, good stuff.
Do you do the mini marshmallows or do you do just the regular?
No marsh.
Okay.
Yep, just like scalding hot, like boiling water and cocoa powder stuff.
and the hint of chocolate.
That's right. Now this stuff is really good. This is like rich chocolate.
Oh, so you got the fancy
style. It's very good. We have like a dark chocolate one in there that I'm looking forward to trying that I've never had.
I usually put 2 packets per like 1 cup just because I want it to be extra thick because chocolatey.
I used to do that. Yeah, this stuff I'm very surprised how flavorful it is. It's very good. I've been slamming this stuff all weekend.
1 packet of Swiss Miss is like homeopathic hot cocoa. It's like we filtered it through 9 levels of water, and the water's a little murky.
For sure.
Here's your hot cocoa. So yeah, I used to always do multiples, and then I got so like crazy addicted to it one time. I'll say that I'll admit it. I have a problem. That I used to just make like a bowl full of it
and smoke it.
Like a medium sized bowl, like a actual like 1 quart bowl of, and I would just use like half the box worth of hot cocoa powder.
These were dark times.
Just sip on a bowl for do some bowl sipping. Yeah, it was. And by dark times, I mean last week. Okay,
yeah,
so
right.
I had to watch myself with the Swiss Miss.
Yeah,
I used to make really good hot cocoa in California. And this is not like
Didn't everything taste a little bit better in California?
Life was better whenever I was younger. And this is not like a revolutionarily complex or amazing hot cocoa mix. It was just I had only ever had Swiss Miss as a kid growing up. And then in California, I just decided one time to try just like straight Hershey chocolate syrup. So I got like the dark chocolate syrup. And just mixing that in with some like hot milk or hot water. Oh gosh, that was like the best, man. I miss those days.
Oh, I bet.
But I'm not allowed to do that, in Indiana. That's just not. It's against the laws over here. So I have to be Swiss Miss only.
Really fucking sucks.
Yeah. All right. For my first drink of 2025 per the recording, I'm doing something that I said I would do last year. Or last week.
Vodka mayo?
No, God. I mean, it kind of looks like vodka mayo.
A little bit. Or like horchata or something.
Yeah. I'm doing a eggnog. And I put some Kraken spiced rum in it.
Oh, man.
I've already started on it, so it's pretty good. I mean, it was the last of the bottle of eggnog. And we talked about it last week. There definitely is to me, and at least in this brand, a very strong resemblance to bubblegum. and I just cannot.
2 weeks ago, I think.
2 weeks ago
on release schedule. Yeah,
sometime long ago last year.
Yeah,
we talked
recorded
about eggnog
yesterday, but
briefly.
you heard it 2 weeks
I
ago.
don't know what time we're at or where we're at anymore. But but I mentioned it had a bubblegum flavor, and you agreed that there's like a slight
I never thought of it. Yeah, until you said that.
I can't get past. I don't know if it's just this brand that's like super bubblegummy.
What brand?
What?
Not to give them any free advertising to
Prairie
our
Farms,
8 listeners, but what is it?
Prairie Farms.
I don't think that's what I have. Evan Williams is what I have.
Is yours already mixed?
Yeah. Yep. It's alcoholic already.
Oh, yours comes in a glass bottle too. Nice.
See, that's how they do it in Ohio.
Yeah. You're allowed to drink on Sundays.
In Indiana, you got to get the little box carton and mix it yourself. But
this was actually no. So they had like the cardboard milk cartons. I went past those. I went to the plastic jug eggnog. So I went one step above.
Yeah.
With the fancier label on it and stuff. No, I wanted to go with the as much unadulterated eggnog as I possibly could get. Because they even had pumpkin spice eggnog and all that kind of stuff. I just wanted my first dive into eggnog. I wanted it to just be non-alcoholic. Just what is this like?
You wanted to raw nog it.
I wanted to raw nog the eggnog, yeah. And like I said, I enjoy it. I just was not expecting the bubblegum. And I would like to try other brands, I guess, and see if they're slightly less or more bubblegummy flavor.
See
but
if Hubba Bubba just has their own nog.
Could you imagine just like
eggnog.
actual eggnog flavored chewing gum? Just
this episode brought to you by Hubba Bubba eggnog. Get it in stores.
Delicious.
If you mention what was that called again at checkout, they will take probably 10 cents off,
or they'll arrest you. One of the two.
That's very possible as well.
So yeah, eggnog to start the cheery new year, 2025.
Definitely. Well, also to start the new year, 2025, we have a movie to discuss that we covered in
Last
real
year.
life.
So long ago.
It was like a month ago almost, but by your listening schedule, it came out last week. We both separately watched T BONE N WEASEL.
T BONE N WEASEL.
Which is available on YouTube in full.
I'll let you start since I think you watched it most recently. I watched it almost after the last recording. Well, last episode's recording, which was several weeks ago now. So I'll let you go since you're fresh, and then I have notes. So so I can pull from notes if I need to.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts? Your reaction to T BONE N WEASEL? What did you feel? What was the quality? Is your life different now?
All valid. Excellent questions that everybody should be asked upon finishing T BONE N WEASEL.
Specifically.
So I thought, first I'll start with the positives. How about that?
Okay.
The positives, Rip Torn. Big positive, big bright spot to that movie. He is in exactly 2 scenes, and he was fucking fantastic.
Yes.
As always. He was just so good.
I was glad that they added that scene that he's in the second time is completely unnecessary.
Yes,
but it's completely enjoyable.
Yeah, it's just if you have Rip Torn in the house, just throw him in if you can.
Yeah, he was there for one day, and they got 2 completely different scenes out of him.
Right. Yeah, he was so good. And then there was a line that I really liked that T-Bone said. It was toward the beginning, and so it was whenever Christopher Lloyd's character is like, "Oh, take me with you," for some reason, right at the very beginning, and Christopher Lloyd's character says, "You could use a little company," something like that, or everyone needs a little company. Yeah, and he said, and T-Bone replies, "Exactly, as little as possible."
As little as possible. Yeah,
like tries to drive away, and I thought, okay, that's great. And then, boy, oh boy, was that the peak? That was
the peak. That was like 5 minutes in, and that was the peak.
Yeah, except for the Rip Torn scenes. But aside from that, I mean, Christopher Lloyd, I don't think the performances were bad per se. I think that the movie was very much, maybe just wasn't my sense of humor, I guess. I don't know. It was like very much just an onslaught of, I can tell this is like supposed to be really funny, but it's not. and an abundance of Creedence Clearwater Revival playing,
Right.
as was contractually obligated in the 90s, I think, for every movie, is absolutely terrible. They're fucking driving around at first in like the most conspicuous vehicle possible.
Right. Yeah.
That he fucking stole upon immediately after getting released from prison. A lot of stupid hijinks. Christopher Lloyd is in his underwear a lot.
That was unexpected.
Yeah, there's like two or three scenes,
to put it
maybe
kindly.
or three or four, I think.
Well, and not only just in his underwear, like whitey tighties, if I recall.
Yep.
But also several references to having sex, and he is directly involved with those references, which also unexpected. I did not even dream. Even in our crazy prediction that we did last week, did not even think that was a possibility.
Yeah. What else? There was a person refers to him as young man at one point, which was odd. To Christopher Lloyd, that is. They called him young man.
Yeah, because he is definitely. As far as actual age, he's older in this movie than he was as Doc Brown, but he's playing more. He's not playing that older mad scientist character. He's literally just playing himself, essentially.
Yeah.
So he looks younger. He is young, but even then,
his hair is brown, but he still looks like
he still looks old.
But yeah, he got referred to as young man, and then they befriend a strange person who is living on a construction site, whom they call Raincoat, and then they drive off together.
And that's the movie.
It was fucking
so you're
stupid.
saying that there are no negatives.
Right. If you're listening to this and you think, man, that sounds fun,
okay,
go watch it.
Yeah. So, this movie. I watched it shortly after we recorded last week's episode, which was literally like you said, a month ago. And
Almost.
In preparation for this recording, I actually had to go back and rewatch the ending because I just could not remember how it ended. I was like, there had to be more to it than what I recall. And then so I went back and went like the last 30 minutes and I watched the last 30. I think it started up on the beach scene is where I picked up basically. And I picked up from there and watched it, and literally, yeah, nothing really happened. So T Bone and Weasel, okay. It's definitely a made for TV movie, and I don't mean HBO.
Yeah.
Like and also as far as it being made for, I think it was actually produced by or distributed by Turner.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if that's related to like Turner Broadcasting later on, or if that was, Ted Turner's, I don't know, but it definitely is
I
for
assume so.
It has that look of 4TV, and the YouTube rip that we watched,
VHS
I think
quality.
even less than that, really, because there were times where it would the camera would cut in on text on a piece of paper or on a sign, and you could not make anything out. So the quality already wasn't very great. So definitely, like, it had that broadcast quality look to it. Probably shot on film, I'm going to guess, and then converted again, and then converted again, and then finally broadcast, and then someone recorded that to VHS, and then they uploaded that to YouTube. So, like, the 18 layers of compression that are on this video definitely don't help it. But even just, like I said, just the look and feel, the style, the constant need for music playing in the background of some kind, like, all were just like TV movie elements, basically. I didn't feel like there were any places for ad breaks, though, so I feel like this is definitely meant to play straight through.
I thought the
same.
same.
And then like the station just decides where to put ad breaks in, but it did feel congruent as far as the storytelling. It didn't feel like there were any natural like pauses for ad breaks. Going back to our prediction, though, so we predicted that T-Bone was a violent offender. We never really find out what he did. He just gets out of prison. Like, that's really just the start of it. He just gets out of prison. Like, literally, the opening shot is like him leaving the prison gates and waving to the prison guards as he walks away. So we were, I guess, maybe wrong on that. He doesn't seem like if he was a violent offender, he would be let out like that at least.
He does get put back in prison at one point for 6 months.
Right. Yeah. So we also said that we thought or predicted that it would take place in the Southwest or like Nevada and California.
Right. Yeah, we were wrong.
And that was really wrong and really also unexpected to see. This definitely takes place in the South, like maybe Alabama, Mississippi, Kentucky, like not Kentucky either. Like that's too far north. It was definitely south, like Florida, Georgia, Alabama, something like around there.
T-Bone's racial relations do play a factor to some
that's what I was going to get to next.
extent.
That was one of the things that we jokingly predicted. We were like, what if Christopher Lloyd says the N-word in this movie? And we come real close to that actually happening. And then on top of that, he does say other things that are that would be today considered politically incorrect as far as referring to certain races or ethnicities as far as that goes. He does actually say those words. But the movie does really play into race a lot. And T-Bone, of course, is played by an African-American character, and then Weasel is a Caucasian character. And it's not really their racial juxtaposition. It's more like just the South in general. And I guess T-Bone having to deal with this, and then Weasel kind of not enjoying that in a way. I guess is kind of the message, and then eventually Weasel stands up for him and quits his job or something. I don't know. Like race does play a big role, but it's mostly just like people being racist for humor.
Yeah, it plays a big role, but it also like kind of doesn't really impact a whole lot of anything that happens in the movie. Aside from Christopher at the end of the movie, I guess, when Christopher Lloyd quits his job.
Yes, exactly.
Like, that was like the only thing that changed anything in their trajectory.
He didn't really quit his job because the boss was being racist towards T-Bone, even though that was the reason why T-Bone was basically kicked off the job site. Yeah. But it was just because, and he even Weasel even says that he quit because they fired you.
Yeah, because they fired you.
He doesn't say, I quit because he's a bigot, jerk, whatever. No, he just like, they fired you, so I'll quit, and then we'll take this other homeless guy that we found and we'll go in a car again.
Yeah, for some reason.
So we also predicted that the car that was stolen was Weasel's, or at least we hoped it was. In fact, it isn't. It's just a random car.
Yeah.
Weasel not owning the car did screw up the rest of our prediction, which we both agreed would have been better. We said that we hoped that Weasel was like trapped in the trunk, and that T-Bone was feeding Weasel fries through the center console, and which there is actually a burger and fry scene, oddly enough, in the diner with
Wayne Knight.
Yes. And then we also predicted or had hoped there'd be a shootout at the end and the car exploding with Weasel dying inside. Yeah, none of that happens. Like I said,
and T-Bone going, "That's my Weasel," and like screaming as he fires his gun at the cops.
Right. I mixed up Rip Torn and Rip Taylor. And I don't know if you know who Rip Taylor is.
I know the name, yeah.
But I know who both of those are, but I was thinking it was going to be Rip Taylor. And then we get to the scene where Rip Torn comes out as the used car salesman, and I was like, oh shit, I got that completely wrong. This is the other Rip. But as you said, Rip Torn is probably like the best part of this movie, and he's only in 2 scenes, which is unfortunate. All the actors, I think, did a great job playing the characters that they were given. I just think the characters were like purposely supposed to be zany or like I don't know, some kind of humor that it was funny to the writer and then really no one else. Apparently this was a play or is a play.
Yeah.
So I think it's also sometimes hard to translate characters that are purely meant for the stage, that are supposed to be big, in character personality and that kind of stuff, to screen. I think, sometimes if they are kept as big as they were on the stage, sometimes that comes off as just being silly. And definitely this is silly in the most derogatory sense. I did not like the movie. I struggled through it as well. To sum it up, T-Bone and Weasel, as zany, funny, interesting as we made it sound last week, I don't want to say don't watch it. It's interesting to see Christopher Lloyd in a role that maybe most people are not used to seeing him in. Rip Torn, great. Wayne Knight was actually interesting in his little small piece as the sheriff or cop or whatever he was.
Yeah, the hobo living underneath the bridge.
Yeah, the Reverend character.
He also is a Seinfeld alum. He's in
really?
Yes, in season 4, he's in a couple episodes. He's working on like the NBC pilot that they're making.
And there's a bunch of interesting characters, but you only get like glimpses of them.
Yeah.
And the rest of the film, you're following T Bone and Weasel doing stuff that is unnecessary over and over again. So I'm not going to say don't watch it. I'll probably never say that, but definitely we built it up to be something that we didn't realize it absolutely was not.
If you're going in wanting to see Christopher Lloyd in the trunk of a car, getting fed food through while his head is sticking through a slot in the back seat of the car, in which becomes his sarcophagus whenever it explodes while he's inside, and you hear his screams dwindle underneath the crackling of the fire. You're not going to get any of those things.
No.
Just spoiler alert.
Yeah. And as far as it being a comedy, even like I said, I guess humorous things happen if it's the type of humor that you enjoy. But other than that, it's just weird situations and sometimes very overtly racist for for a reason that doesn't really pay off or doesn't pay off soon enough, I guess. Yeah. And it definitely made for TV. Definitely not. And I was shocked when I had to go back and look. I was shocked that it had a 5.1 on IMDb as far as the rating. I don't understand how that. I mean, it just has to be, I guess, math. So few people have seen it or rated it, maybe, and then like I think it got 1 10-star rating. So that probably curved everything up, of course. But I don't know how. It's just not a good movie, folks. It really is not. And it's not even a bad movie that you can find entertaining. It's just not. It's just not good. So I understand now why I have never heard of this before. Now I understand now why like this isn't in the on the posters behind Christopher Lloyd whenever he's at all the conventions. There's not like a T Bone and Weasel poster that everyone's signing. I get that now. There's a reason why this has been buried.
But if we ever go to a convention and see Christopher Lloyd, I know what movie I would bring up to him.
Yeah, exactly. Like everyone else has their sports almanacs and their fucking DeLoreans and hoverboards or whatever, and like we've got like an egg salad sandwich and a pair of whitey tighties, and it's like T Bone and Weasel.
Say, hey, Christopher Lloyd, tell me where this is from, huh? Just see if he can even remember.
Probably not. Blocked it from his mind forever
Those
ago.
were dark times.
Yeah. I was desperate. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe we'll just talk to Christopher Lloyd and get to the bottom of the real scoop behind T Bone and Weasel.
T Bone and Weasel. Go see it. It's on YouTube in full.
Like I said, 90 minutes. Yeah.
It's too long, but if you want to at least see Doc Brown and some whitey tighties in the water, there you go.
That's like specifically the thing that you've always wanted to see in a movie, then.
Or even if that's just the thing that you didn't know existed.
Yeah. I definitely didn't.
I didn't either. I kind of wish I didn't.
But you know what I do know exists? Is
I'm ready.
3 movies that I have picked for you here.
Oh, yes.
I searched far and wide.
Okay.
Kind of.
How far? 5 inches?
So we're going to have a movie that I just randomly found on IMDb once. We're going to have a movie that I got from Vinegar Syndrome a couple years ago. And then another movie that I almost bought from Vinegar Syndrome during their Black Friday sale this year, but then didn't because I read about the director and saw his letterbox, and I didn't really feel like supporting him.
Oh, controversy there. Okay.
Yeah.
But have you seen the one that you got from Vinegar Syndrome yet?
I watched it a few years ago whenever I lived in town. And because of which I was not able to focus on it as much as I had hoped I could have. So
this town is incredibly distracting. I understand.
So I can't say. I really actually wanted to rewatch it before we recorded this, and then I just never got around to it. But
instead, you watched T Bone and Weasel, and you benefited from that
because I wanted to talk about that. Okay, so. With all that in mind, we're going to be kicking off your journey this week in the year 2014.
Okay.
in your synopsis.
So not 1914 like it was on the Christmas episode.
Yeah, 100 years later, we got this
100
movie.
years later, how far have we come?
We got this movie 100 years later.
Is it still the Octavius Adventures?
I wish. Your synopsis for this, as written on IMDb, reads as follows. In Maine, two friends predict how the global financial market is going to change based on CCTV footage of a surrounding forest.
What? Okay. Okay. So, in Maine, two friends predict how the financial market is going to change based off of CCTV footage of the surrounding forest?
Yes. The global financial market.
The whole world's financial markets
gonna change
are predicted by watching the forest in Maine.
Yes.
Okay. That
Intriguing?
is I don't know if that's the word. I was going to say it's definitely original sounding. It sounds like what would happen if you took acid. But I've never heard of this at all. 2014.
Yes.
Yeah. Two friends, Maine, global financial market predictions based off of CCTV footage of the forest. Mm-hmm. Yeah. None of that even comes close to being something that I know what all those things are. I know what Maine is. I know what CCTV footage looks like.
Do you know what a forest looks
like?
I've
seen a forest. Yeah, I've seen a forest.
And you've never seen one and thought, I think the stock market's going to collapse.
I mean, no, I don't think.
Maybe you just haven't seen a forest through the filter of CCTV.
That's what I haven't done that. I've either seen a forest or I've seen CCTV footage. I've never actually seen CCTV footage of a forest.
Yes, that's what you're missing, I think.
And then I'm curious, did these cameras already exist and they stumbled upon this footage, or did they rig up the cameras themselves to watch the trees? And why Maine? Is there something? Is this like a weirdly unknown Stephen King movie?
Never know.
It's like he branched off of the horror and he went to global finance fiction. It's like, I gotta keep it Maine. Okay, yeah, never heard this. So next movie, please.
Your second film is from the year 2020.
Okay.
And the synopsis for it reads as follows. Attempting to surpass his father's legacy, a reclusive neuroscientist becomes entangled in his own experiment, pitting 10 fragments of his consciousness against each other.
Okay. This one has a feel to it. Okay. Say this one more time for me.
Yeah. Attempting to surpass his father's legacy, a reclusive neuroscientist becomes entangled in his own experiment, pitting 10 fragments of his consciousness against each other.
Interesting. I like that. For some reason, that doesn't sound familiar, but it feels familiar. I have a feel that it gives me something. I don't know what it is. It could also be the eggnog. Okay, so 2020, attempting to surpass his father's legacy, a reclusive neuroscientist. You said pits 10 pieces of his consciousness against themselves or something like that?
Yeah, the reclusive neuroscientist becomes entangled in his own experiment, pitting 10 fragments of his consciousness against each other.
So not only is he pitting these 10 fragments of his consciousness together, but he becomes entangled in this experiment. Okay. Wow, yeah. Sounds incredibly science fiction-y. The fact that you could even consider consciousness being fragmentable and tangible, that's intriguing. Like I said, it maybe feels a little familiar, but it could also just be based off of sort of generic sci-fi tropes and maybe a little bit of Frankenstein going on there. Okay, I'm into that movie, but I don't know if I'm fully invested yet. I have to watch the trees to see if I'm invested in that film. So third synopsis, please.
All right, your final film comes from the year 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And your synopsis for it reads as follows. A midnight mosaic of a suburban town steeped in alienation. While peering into the late night moments of many residents, we notice that some of them quietly escape into the dark of night via rollerblades.
Okay, God. All right, hold on. So this is another one of those synopses where like a lot of words are used to describe a simple thing, and then we tack on something that is mundane. And supposedly that juxtaposition of artsy flourish plus mundane thing makes the movie so interesting. So once again, try to read this one to me, and I'll attempt to follow along through all the word vomit here.
Okay. Here you go. A midnight mosaic of a suburban town steeped in alienation.
Oh, God. I'm already rolling my eyes so hard that it hurts physically. A midnight mosaic.
Yes.
Steeped in alienation.
Yep, of a suburban town steeped in alienation.
All right.
That's the first sentence, and then it continues. While peering into the late night moments of many residents.
Okay.
We notice that some of them quietly escape into the dark of night via rollerblades.
And I guess they never return, maybe, or they're doing something at night that that raises an eyebrow as to what they could be doing. Wait, what was the town steeped in again? It was steeped in alienation. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So, 2022. A midnight mosaic of a suburban town steeped in alienation. We notice that some of the there's something in the middle that I'm forgetting about all the residents. But anyway, we end up noticing that some of these residents basically get away from this via rollerblades. What was the middle part that I'm missing?
While peering into the late night moments of many residents.
The late night moments. Okay,
we notice that some of them quietly escape into the dark of night via rollerblades.
So we're kind of watching, I guess, this quaint little suburban area. I wonder if the viewer, is just kind of going around from suburban house to suburban house, family to family, or if there's actually an actual character who was portraying us in the film, who's watching this and then suddenly notices, almost like if this was, what was the movie, the Hitchcock movie, what was that called again? The movie where he watched Rear Window.
Rear Window? Yeah.
It's sort of like Rear Window, where, only except for a murder takes place, someone's wearing rollerblades.
Yeah, there's... One of them is suspense masterpiece. The other one is observing people slip into their hip rollerblades and slinking off into the night.
Yeah. And I imagine like something has to happen. Like they can't just be rollerblading. Like maybe they go away for a long time and then they don't come back the next day. Or I guess I'm curious about this film, but it sounds like I have absolute garbage. I don't know if I like this movie at all. Okay, I'm going to try to recap all of these, and we'll see if the titles help me figure out which are which. So, the first film was 2014.
Yes.
And give me the action word on this one so I can remember what it was.
Predict.
Okay, so 2014, was this the one about the two friends in Maine?
Yes.
Who predict the global financial market by watching CCTV footage of the surrounding forest?
That's right.
Okay, wow. For some reason I thought that was the second film. But it's not, because the second film was 2020, and that is about the trying to... I can't recall the word exactly. Trying to basically outdo his father's legacy.
Correct.
This reclusive, I think, neurosurgeon, neuroscientist gets entangled in his experiment that pits the fragments of his consciousness against each other.
Yep,
tin
specifically
fragments.
10. Yep,
Yeah.
that's right.
Okay, and then the 2022 film was about a midnight mosaic of a quaint suburban town steeped in alienation. But as we watch the citizens of this little neighborhood and their nightly routines, we notice that some of them slip away in the darkness on rollerblades.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Sounds nice.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know what the title of that one could possibly be, but whatever it is, it's going to piss me off. So go ahead and give me one of the titles.
Okay. First title I'm going to give you this week. The first title of 2025
Woo!
is going to be For the Plasma.
For the Plasma. Ooh. I mean, I like that title. It's vague enough. You don't know what it is. It's kind of eliciting like a science fiction-y sort of feel to it. Plasma, I guess, could be blood too. I went immediately to like plasma is like the superheated gas, but I guess it could be blood. For the Plasma, I don't know. I mean, maybe this midnight mosaic town with alienation and rollerblades and people slipping away. Maybe this is a vampire movie, and like For the Plasma is a blood reference.
The only way they can escape the vampire's clutches is by getting on their rollerblades.
No, I'm thinking that they are vampires.
Oh, the vampires are on
secretly.
rollerblades.
And that someone moves into this suburban neighborhood who isn't. And for some reason, the vampires can only travel via rollerblades.
I think the girl in A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, who is a vampire, I believe she skateboards. I think.
Okay, so there's a
I don't think that's
here.
her only mode of transportation, but
there's canon here as far as foot wheeled mobility.
For the supernatural.
Heelys, rollerblades, skateboards, anything that is wheel underfoot. That's the vampire's preferred mode of transportation.
Fucking Heelys, the fucking toes pointed up.
Could you imagine a vampire, like a modern day vampire movie?
Out.
Yeah, arms extended, like cape flowing behind him. They've just got Heelys on, just like floating towards you. That'd be hilarious. Okay, so For the Plasma, I mean, like I said, I initially went science fiction-y, and I feel like the neuroscientist and the 10 fragments of consciousness, that feels very heavily science fiction. But then I suppose For the Plasma, I mean, maybe it's like there's something in the electronics or something in the CCTV footage, I don't know, that is speaking to these two friends in Maine. I don't know. For now, I'm gonna maybe put it on the rollerblading movie, but I'm gonna go into the next titles first. For the Plasma. Okay.
Your second title to go off of will be Minor Premise.
All these films. Minor Premise. Okay. Minor Premise. That really feels like something that you would call your movie that is trying to be way too artsy. With the midnight mosaic and the alienation and all that stuff. There's a minor premise. Oh, we should call it that. We should call it Minor Premise. You think the audience will get what we're trying to say and that this movie doesn't contain a lot of information, but it's still entertaining? And they're just consumers and they'll watch whatever they want when we put it in front of them? They're really the joke of this.
And their friend is just like, I get it.
I get it. Minor Premise. And we can also make the lead character a child. Anyway,
and she doesn't quite yet know how to rollerblade, and the townsfolk have to teach her.
Yeah, she's a minor. Okay, I don't feel like Minor Premise is the legacy outdoing neuroscientists with 10. That one's too heavy. Like that, there's a lot going on in that movie.
It's a major premise.
Yeah, that's a major premise. that's the sequel. In the premise universe, that is major premise. Yeah, there's no minor premise there. And then, I mean, I still don't know what you could title the two friends in Maine with the CCTV footage. That's just an acid. Like I said, that's just an acid trip. Minor premise for that one? I don't know. So yeah, I'm kind of even going heavier on the on minor premise being the 2022 seemingly art jerk off film. But again, I'm going to table it because I don't know what the third title is going to be, and I'm still certain there's going to be one of these that upsets me greatly. So, the last title, please.
Your last title is Acid Trip Weekend.
Oh yeah, okay, I know where that was going. Acid Trip in Upper New England.
Your final title is going to be HAPPER'S COMET.
Oh, HAPPER'S COMET.
Yep.
Huh. Okay, so maybe the reason that these two friends are watching CCTV footage of the forest is not to necessarily watch the forest. Maybe they're just trying to watch other things, and maybe the other thing is a comet.
They
or
can't
maybe
see the forest for the comet?
Yeah.
That's the tagline.
Something like that. Yeah, sure. Maybe. Or maybe like they're trying to like, just watch for animals or whatever, and then this comet goes over, and then like the because comets usually last multiple days.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe like the light for some reason is so bright that the shadows and like the contrast that gives on the CCTV footage like gives them like graphs and shit. I don't know. I'm just trying to really piece that. HAPPER'S. You said HAPPER'S Comet?
Yes. The shadow from the cast by the comet against the trees is like a pie chart.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. HAPPER'S Comet. I don't feel. I mean, I guess you could call like a science fiction film about consciousness and neurosurgery and experimentation. I suppose you could call it really anything. But I don't feel like that HAPPER'S Comet goes with that movie. This midnight mosaic alienation steeped suburban happening nightly routine interrupted by escaping residents on rollerblades. There could maybe be a comma there, and we're just like, and maybe it's one of those things that like that's the reason this observer character starts to notice people escaping in the dark, is because they're actually watching for the comet, and that's what kind of reveals the truth about this quiet little suburban area. So there's something weird going on. HAPPER'S Comet. Okay, and I'm going to assume that that's a possessive HAPPER'S.
Yeah, HAPPER''S.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we have the titles we have to play with are HAPPER'S Comet, Minor Premise, and what was the first title?
For the Plasma.
For the Plasma, yeah. Which is what you used to say on Black Fridays in the late 90s. Whenever you were about to go into battle, you would raise your fist and say "For the Plasma."
For the Plasma.
Yeah, and then you would
grab
storm
your
a Best Buy.
Patch Kid.
Okay. For the Plasma, Minor Premise, and HAPPER'S Comet. This usually I can sort of like logically fall into right or wrong into something, but I don't have anything for the minor premise other than the throwaway joke about being way too artsy for its own good. For the Plasma is also a tough one. HAPPER'S Comet, Minor Premise. Damn it. Because it's so vague, it could be any of these. And none of these movies really stand out as having a need for a strong title. So I think this is going to be almost a shot in the dark sort of situation. I'm going to say that these CCTV cameras are set up not to watch the forest initially. I think they're set up for something else, and it's revealed in the film that by watching the forest, this other idea of global financial markets comes into play. So I'm going to say that there's a comet involved in this movie. So the 2014 two friends in Maine predict global financial markets by watching CCTV footage of the surrounding forest. That's Happer's Comet.
Okay.
And that leaves me with the 2020 film about trying to outdo his father's legacy. A neuroscientist gets entangled in his experiment while trying to pit the 10 pieces of his fragmented consciousness together against each other. I'm going to call that one For the Plasma. Why? No idea at all. Like I said, it could be maybe like a double meaning with blood. And he is trying to like outdo his father's legacy, so there's a blood connection there. And then as far as it being anything other than that, gosh, I said double meaning and I don't even have another meaning. I don't know. I really don't know what For the Plasma could be. But I'm going to put it there for now. I feel like that's really a stab in the dark. And then that leaves Minor Premise for the 2022 film about the midnight mosaic of an suburb steeped in alienation.
The movie with the minor premise.
Yeah, where we observe the midnight happenings of residents and come to realize that some of them escape this bleakness by rollerblading away. That's Minor Premise. Just because I absolutely hate that synopsis with every fiber of my being. Final answer for now. I feel like I didn't get any of these right, but we'll see.
Okay, we will see right after these messages.
Right after a break. Yeah. Welcome to 2025. We have ads now.
Yeah, I looked into it. Not the kind of money.
We should just do our own.
I actually looked into having our show promoted through other podcasts, and the like paying for that is just like more money than I really want to or can pay for this show.
Yeah.
Anyway,
this episode brought to you by Sparkling Water. Sparkling Water has been a long time sponsor of what was that called again, and is the official drink of what was that called again, even going into 2025, unless we find a better drink
with bubbles.
That's right. The tagline is "It's water with bubbles." Sparkling water, your drink of choice for any occasion.
There you go. All right, welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back. Thank you.
Where we left off, Will predicted himself getting 0, but said we'll see. So for his first official guess of the year 2025, kicking the year off week, he got 0 out of 3.
That's what I thought. I thought I did. Yeah, I have no idea where any of these go. Yeah. Okay, so at least Minor Premise isn't the one that I hate the most. Okay, so then I'm going to say that Minor Premise is then the New England, Maine, two friends, forced CCTV footage, global financial market predictions. Just because I don't know where else to put these titles, so I'm going to say this one's
Good
really
reasoning.
tough. This is a tough episode, so I'm going to call that one Minor Premise. Yeah, so that leaves the 2020 film of the neuroscientist. I keep getting those mixed up. Neuroscientist trying to outdo his father's legacy, getting entangled in this experiment of his 10 pieces of consciousness being pitted against each other. I'm going to call that one. I was going to call it Harper's Comet, but I don't know if I want to do that anymore. Happer's Comet. Happer's Comet. Hold, please. So I put the first one as Minor Premise. I got Happer's Comet, and then what was the other title again?
For the Plasma.
That was a weird one. For the Plasma. Okay. I guess I had to switch it because otherwise, yeah. Okay, so the 2020 film will then be called Happer's Comet. And then that leaves the 2022 film of the very wordy, isolated, alienated, submerged, suburban hellhole, weird place as with rollerblades. Sorry, as For the Plasma. And again, why I have no idea. I'm gonna maybe hope that it's a vampire connection, but other than that, I have no reason for any of these. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not going to surprise me that I'm wrong again. Just because I really feel like all three of these films are sort of just a toss-up. I don't get anything from these synopsis as far as why they're called what they're called, and they're all in the 2000s, so I can't even try to separate them as far as like, you know, you might call this for home video, you might call this for streaming, and they all feel very artsy to begin with. And I don't mean that that's almost too vague of a term. I just mean like they're really high concept stories. It seems like there's a lot that you have to really buy into and pay attention to. So as far as that goes, again, you really can't boil all that down into a title. So all these could be called any of these, and you could still somehow make the title work. You know, you could bullshit some interpretation of the story and it'd be like, oh yeah, this one has to be that. So yeah. So again, that's my final answer. Again, for my second attempt, but I won't be surprised if I'm still 0 for 0.
Okay. Very confident sounding.
Yeah. For the start of the year, I'm super high confidence on this one.
Well, for the start of the year, you got a big fat goose egg twice.
All right.
0 out of 3 again.
Starting on the bottom, I can only go up from here. Tell me
Maybe
about
this will be a year filled with 52 0 out of 3s.
That's my goal. That's my new goal. Just to get 0 all year round. Okay. Can you tell me anything about these movies?
No. Next segment.
All right. Quote time.
2014. We have For the Plasma. This is from directors Brigham Bryant and Kyle Molzan. Written by Brigham Bryant. And this movie, at the time of recording, is available free with ads on Tubi. Neither director have a director credit on their IMDb pages since, but Kyle Molzan has worked as a PA, gaffer, camera assistant, etc. on many shorts, indie features, and did some work for Dropout.
Nice.
While Brigham Bryant has done acting and editing work, and the two have worked on lots of the same projects above and below the line together.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them. Minor premise came out in 2020 from director Frederick Schultz. It is written by Schultz as well as Justin Moretto and Thomas Torrey. The movie at the time of recording is available on Prime, Crackle, Tubi, Plex, and Peacock. This is the one that I own on Blu-ray that I wanted to rewatch. I remember enjoying what I had seen from it whenever I did watch it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to focus on it as much as I'd hoped. Frederick Schultz, who goes by Eric Schultz, so his credits are listed as Eric Schultz. He has not directed a film since, but he primarily works before and since this film as a producer.
Ah, okay.
And then last but not least, Happer's Comet 2022, written and directed by Tyler Tormina. This film at the time of recording is available also free with ads on Tubi. The director has a write-up on this film on his Letterboxd. If you go to Happer's Comet Letterboxd and you click reviews, his is the very top one that comes up.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
He explains that it was made in 2020 during lockdown. He had moved back to his parents' house in Long Island specifically to make this movie with the help of his family, friends, and a few actors from the internet who agreed to be in it.
Okay.
He claims the film had a crew of 2 people, which were himself as director, Grip, and he was on screen as 5 different minor characters, he says.
Wow.
And then the other person on the crew that he cites is Jesse Sperling, who shot the film and also plays a few parts. He writes in his Letterboxd review, quote, "Several locations we saw for the first time when we arrived to shoot there. There was no recorded sound on set, which made the whole process much easier. I love working that way. We would shoot for a weekend, write new scenes throughout the week, and shoot those scenes the following weekend. This went on for 4 months until the mosaic-style narrative was complete." End quote. With that very not informative bits of information, what do you think about the ratings?
Well, so these all sound like they're going to be obscure films, not a wide audience. And also the fact that Happer's Comet seems to be very guerrilla in a sense that doesn't always play to an audience.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes it does, though. Sometimes that actually makes a movie feel, I don't know, something, a more unique quality to it. Minor Premise, you said you'd seen that when in the part that you remember you enjoyed it, but that doesn't mean that everyone else did either. But that one does sound like the one that has the most, like, potentially engaging plot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that could also work against it. That could mean that, like, people expect that plot to have a certain style, quality, whatever to it, and if it doesn't deliver upon that, then it's devalued.
Yeah, there's a few movies from then that I need to revisit. Like I remember putting in the Blu-ray for Cobra and watching it, and my roommate at the time would not shut the fuck up, and I was so pissed, and I was like, I really wanted to watch this movie. I bought this Blu-ray. I wanted to watch this.
It's hilarious.
I thought we would have fun watching this, and then he just like talked the whole time, and I was like, I don't even know what the fuck is going on, and I got up and I took out the fucking movie, and like halfway through it, and I was like, nope, I guess I'll just watch this by myself some other time.
I'll watch it later.
And I still haven't. I need to.
So
but anyway, this was
one of
Minor
those.
Premise was
And then we have For the Plasma, which again, that title just doesn't really. I mean, Happer's Comet, I guess gives you Harper's. Happer's Comet. It sounds sort of intriguing, and then there was kind of like this brief interest or fad about films that were made during COVID, and just people just being intrigued by like how did they do this whenever they didn't have the ability to do much of anything else.
Yeah, there's like 8 different, or probably more than that, different movies that I've seen say like we were the only ones shooting during the lockdown. All of them say that.
Yeah, and then like I said, Minor Premise. There's that one's maybe there's a little bit of like, what does this even mean? Curiosity to it, but then once you read the synopsis, it feels like a movie that you might be interested in. But then, like I said, For the Plasma, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that's about. And then you go to find more about the film, and it's about 2 guys watching security footage of a forest and predicting the global stock market. The predicting the global stock market thing sounds absolutely boring as fuck. Like, it just sounds not interesting at all. Predicting the future, like, that could still be global stock market related, but you just call it predicting the future, and that automatically sounds more intriguing from the get-go. But you're telling people that this movie is about predicting the global stock market, and it's like, okay, I don't care at all.
And it very well could be one of those ones that's like impossible to describe it to make it sound interesting. Like you could say the same thing for The Big Short, for example, and like you'd tell somebody like, oh, it's these guys that knew that the housing market was gonna like collapse the economy, and you're like, all right, I don't really need to watch that. And then you're like, no, but it's like fucking,
it is
fantastic,
exactly.
And
So
entertaining.
that definitely could be the case here, but I think that it feels like you would have maybe have at least tried to title it different. At least
For the Plasma might not get that across.
I don't know what that even is supposed to mean. So anyway, so going into my rating, I feel like having said all of that long-windedly, I'm going to say that all of these are 5.5 or lower. I don't know how low the scale goes this time, but the peak is 5.6. That's the highest.
Okay.
And I'm also basing that purely on T Bone and Weasel getting a 5.1.
Yeah. That's your bottom.
No. T Bone and Weasel, I think, is now going to be, at least 2025, that is going to be what is the standard average.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
So I'm going to base everything plus or minus of 5.1 T Bone and Weasel.
Yeah.
And go from there. That is our rubric for grading now. Is T Bone and Weasel is middle of the road. And then anything that's above and below is based off of that. So having said that, I think I think none of these go higher than 5.6. I don't know how low the scale goes. I will say that Minor Premise, I think, ekes out the top spot. Then I'm going to say that Happer's Comet is second, and then For the Plasma is third.
Okay.
And I also would not be surprised that these are all kind of clustered together as far as the ratings go.
Okay. And with that, starting from the bottom and working our way up, our lowest rated with a 5.1 out of 10.
With an equal to T Bone and Weasel.
Based on 4,871 ratings is Minor Premise in 2020.
Really? Wow.
Yep.
So that's the lowest?
Yep.
With an average score and with 4,000 ratings.
Yeah, almost 5,000.
Wow.
Moving up to the middle with a 5.3 out of 10 based on 203 ratings is For the Plasma.
Okay.
And that leaves Happer's Comet.
Right.
The highest rated film with a 5.9 out of 10 based on 126 ratings.
Okay, yeah. So we're grading on a curve here. Half of those are the family that this guy knows.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, I mean that's not really shocking. It's more shocking that Minor Premise is at the bottom. I really thought For the Plasma would be worse off as far as the ratings go. Though again, there are fewer people who have seen that movie, so sometimes having less people watch your film, if they all kind of give it a sort of average score, then it's going to keep that score average. Whereas you get almost 5,000 people watching your movie, you're going to have some people that just absolutely hate it, and you're going to have some people that absolutely love it. And if you have slightly more people who absolutely hate it, then your score is going to start to tank a little bit. But it almost doesn't surprise me that Happer's Comet is the highest. Again, the low views definitely help it, but I think, like I said, there was a benefit to marketing your film as shot during COVID, and as far as at least getting people interested in it, wanting to see more. And it sounds, the synopsis doesn't do it any help at all, but once you told me that like it was shot over 4 months, and it was kind of like this really super indie, like that, and it was shot with COVID lockdown, I'm intrigued. I just want to see what it's like. I don't know if that makes it a good or not. I don't know, but
yeah,
I'm at least intrigued. Okay.
Yeah, so this week, unfortunately, given how obscure these films actually are, there is no quote for any of these three listed on their IMDb pages. They also do not have any taglines.
Oh, wow.
But I do have tag me.
Tag me. Oh.
One of these movies does not have any plot details on its page.
There's nothing about this movie at all.
For the Plasma has no plot details. However, Minor Premise has quite a few, and Happer's Comet has a couple. So I'll start with Happer's Comet first, just because it only has literally 3. We have Escape, Night, Town.
Okay.
So
Escape is interesting because in the synopsis it reads as though, I mean, I think it did sort of say escape. I think, but I felt as though
they do say escape in the plot description.
Yeah, so I guess I was just thinking that like escape is like they were just trying to like get away, just like something to do because they were trapped in this. But after hearing that tag, it almost makes me now think that maybe they're trying to get like there's a danger that they're trying to get away from.
Vampires.
I really hope it's vampires.
I do too.
I mean, again, it could maybe not be that, but the fact that someone tagged it as just purely escape That's interesting. A little bit, at least to me.
Yeah. Minor premise. We have, starting off with split personality.
Okay.
We have brilliant mind. Unconscious. Kidnapping. Amnesia. Lost time. Self-experimentation. Science gone wrong. And memory loss.
Oh, so all very common things whenever you're dealing with this type of the brain and consciousness in movies. So again, like I said, I can see now why it almost does what I said it could have done, which is that I see how this is the lowest rated of these three, is that this movie has elements that people are used to and expect a certain quality, or there's at least a standard to base minor premise against, right? So if it doesn't meet that, then I'm going to rate it lower because I know of a better movie. Whereas the other two films, For the Plasma and Happer's Comet, there's really not much, at least it seems like, to base these movies on as far as other films like them. So that definitely helps. If it's good enough, people might give you a little bit of a rating to say it was good and it was unique. Thanks,
Yeah. And really quick, in lieu of not having a quote this week, I did I did bury the lead on one piece of information from one of these films.
Oh.
And I'm going to give it to you, and you're going to try to guess which movie this is related to this piece of information.
Is this a new segment that we're debuting in 2025?
Probably not.
Okay.
But I think just for this one limited occurrence where there was like almost no information for any of these movies. So the piece of information that I kept from you is that one of these three movies was shot on Super 16.
Oh.
And which one do you suspect was shot on Super 16?
I mean, I would absolutely...
it's actually literally just a complete guess, but it's something.
I would absolutely love it if it was Happer's Comet. I would want to watch that movie even more. If he shot this film on film during lockdown, over the course of 4 months, like that's pretty awesome if he did that. And I mean, it would maybe sort of make sense because, you don't have to deal. Well, I think you even said that he didn't want, or that there was something with the audio that he was particular about. I can't remember what you said now about that.
Yeah, there was no recorded sound on set, which made the whole process much easier, he says.
Right, but I wonder if that's also because it was shot on Super 16, maybe, and he just chose not to have sound recorded onto it because he didn't have an extra crew member for that. Because, with the digital camera, you could easily just use the in-camera mic if you don't have a crew. It might not sound great, but you still have that option. I could see you seeking out a film to watch because it's shot on Super 16, or film in general, and the only one you have seen is Minor Premise. And then for some reason, I can also see this like weird movie about CCTV footage in the forest.
You pretty much know absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it also being shot on film just to kind of separate from the CCTV look of it. And maybe there's other technology used in the film or featured in the film that they wanted to separate that from the look of the actual final project. So which one? This is basically a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
I really hope it's Happer's Comet, just because that would give me an extra like, oh crap, I kind of want to see this. But again, like I also understand that you have to shoot with whatever you have, so I don't know if that's the case for the COVID movie. But anyway, so I hope it's Happer's Comet, but I'm going to go with it being For the Plasma.
Okay. Well, your hope is incorrect, but your guess is correct. For the Plasma was shot on Super 16.
All right. I'm intrigued even more in that. Like I said, it sounds boring, but like you brought up a good point about it could just be a bad synopsis, or just a way that they can't really describe what's happening without totally blowing the plot, maybe.
Yeah, it's also, according to IMDb, it's 94 minutes. Happer's Comet is 1 hour, 2 minutes long.
Okay.
FYI. Yeah.
Which makes sense.
So
Most of
Happer's
those
Comet would be a good, easy, quick watch.
in and out. Most of those COVID lockdown movies, from my memory, were all fairly short films. I mean, they were not short films, but they were short features, I guess.
Yeah, the director he got a nomination from the Berlin International Film Festival.
For Happer's Comet?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Let's play with For the Plasma. I want to figure out, at least in our version, what it was that made these two friends want to watch CCTV footage of the forest. And then, or at the same time, what was it that made them think this was a way to predict global financial markets? Are these two separate things, or did they just go, I bet we could predict global financial markets by looking at the woods? What do you think? Are they two separate things, or are they the one thought that someone had?
Maybe there's, so it's the two friends.
Okay.
But there's a third mutual friend who works as a security guard overnight.
Okay.
At whatever, like some little place in town.
Maybe it's like a electrical substation that's just being like watched, like the transformers and shit. Like where the power comes in.
Yeah, and it's like
in like rural Maine.
And it's late at this time of like evening/night. Nobody else is really there. It's just this security guy.
Yep.
Monitoring like the place, and so out of boredom or whatever, he knows that he can have like his friends come over and get away with it. Like nobody's gonna know.
Play cards, smoke weed, whatever. Yeah.
And so they're just hanging out, and one of the friends is just kind of like looking at the CCTV footage, and they just start going like, "Whoa!" And the other two, the security,
they're just so high. They're
that's
like, "Whoa!"
On the script. Whoa,
whoa!
Says friend number one. So the other friend and the security guard are both like, "What?" And the security guard is kind of like, "Oh shit," because he's like, "I'm supposed to be like monitoring this, and if you see something, what the fuck?" And so friend number two, who saw this on the TV and said, "Whoa," is like, look right there, and he's like pointing at the CCTV screen.
Yeah.
And it's this camera angle where maybe there's like the bottom quarter of it is like chain link fence with barbed wire on the top.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
And then beyond that is the forest.
Yep.
And
any sky, or is it just all solid trees?
Solid trees. Maybe the top like
sliver.
half an inch of the screen is visible skyline.
Okay.
And so security guard and friend number one.
So they are actually worried more about the trees than whatever is behind this gated facility. There might be an owl that swoops in, a squirrel. Something's coming from the tree line itself, not the ground, not the facility itself.
Maybe so.
Okay. All right. I'm in.
So friend number one and the security guard are both like, "What?" And they jump up and they go over there, and friend number two is pointing at the screen.
Yeah.
And the security guard guy is like, "What is it? Like, what did you see?" And friend number one is like, "Oh my God."
So he sees it.
And so friend number one and friend number two are both just like right there, and they're pointing at the screen.
So the guy trained to do this job does not see anything.
The security guard is like, "What the what?
I'm too high, man."
And they're both just like, are you fucking like right there? They're like both pointing in the same spot on the screen.
Yeah.
And the security guard guy is like, "What?" And so he's like, "All right, I'll go like check. I'll go do my rounds or whatever."
Yeah.
I'm like 20 minutes past due, to make my perimeter check or whatever anyway. And so he goes outside, and so we follow him outside, and he's like walking the fence line, and he gets to where the camera angle is pointing. And so like from the CCTV, like we cut inside and the two friends are watching, you can like see that dude's head.
Yeah. Just barely on the bottom of the screen.
Coming into view.
Yeah.
And we go back to him, and it's just like the sounds of like, the like cicadas and the crickets or whatever at night.
Summertime,
and he's like,
right?
He's like shining his flashlight, looking around in the woods, doesn't see anything. Nothing. he finishes his check. He comes back into the into the security room.
Yeah, the shack or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know what you two think you saw, but there's nothing out there. And they're both just like not saying anything. They're both just eyes locked on the screen.
They're just in the TV, basically. They're just brains being melted.
And he's like, hello. And they're just ignoring him completely. They're not saying anything. So there's something on there that they're seeing that he's not.
Clearly.
That nobody else is seeing.
Yeah.
And one of them is just like, April 16th.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
And the security guard is like, what? And they go, and then the other friend number 2 says April 16th. And he's like, what are you talking? April 16th, what? And they're like,
45 shares. April 16th.
45 shares. The Dow going down. Dow going down. April 16th. April 16th. Dow going down. Like they
just repeat that over and over. That'd be creepy as hell.
It's a little bit like fucking Rain Man.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what's happening. The security guy is just like, all right, well,
guys, it's time to go home.
Maybe you guys can go on home. But they're just sitting there staring at the screen saying, April 16th, Dow going down. April 16th, Dow going down.
And sorry, how far in advance, like, where are we now in the calendar?
It is...
Because you said cicada, so I pictured like summer. So is this...
Yeah. It is July,
okay.
Like the end of July.
So this is almost a year ahead of where they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he's just like, all right, guys, well, maybe I'll talk to you tomorrow. And he like kind of like walks over to friend number 2 and puts his
April 16th, that goes
hands
down.
around their shoulder and like to try to kind of escort them out. And they just go, ah! Like they just like shriek at the top of their lungs. And he like kind of jumps back and he's like, what the fuck? And then they both April 16th down.
Okay, all right.
And then he like calls the police.
And the police show up and do what?
They also look at the screen
and see it. He's the only one who can't see it. Is just one security guard. So I was going to ask, do we ever get to see what it is, or do we ever know what it is that's out there?
Nope.
Okay,
I never do.
Fine. And then last question: what does "for the plasma" mean?
In order for this financial collapse to be diverted.
Oh, okay. So we can change the future.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have to do a blood sacrifice.
God.
On screen on that CCTV, like within the frame of the CCTV footage, they have to sacrifice.
Is this where finally our security guard who's in the shack watching this? He's for some reason just like, I don't want any part of this. I have a job to do.
I was going to say he's the one that gets sacrificed.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He's dying, and he's finally like, I could see.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to go. He finally. Okay, I like that. They're like, they have to sacrifice him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what is it that he sees?
So we don't know. But we have, so the camera is on his face, right?
Right.
And
like a crane shot?
We just
is he laying down?
Yeah, he's like on his back, and he's like, I see. And he's
April
got
16th. April 16th. That goes down.
April 16th, the world is okay.
Oh.
He's got like tears streaming down his face, and it's just like a close up on his face, and there is just like a white glow that shines on his face.
Oh, okay. Just like some kind of light, some kind of
and we see
heavenly light.
We see like him like stop moving, and like the life like slip away out of his eyes or whatever, and we go like into like a almost like his POV, like we're now it's just a shot looking up, and it's just like a blinding
at this white light.
And then credits.
Okay, no, I love it. That's so fucking weird and shit. And like, I mean, it's kind of
16th Dow going down.
It's kind of an interesting concept if you think about it. Like, Because I think it would be funny if like April 16th comes around and everything's fine, right? But the question remains is everything fine because they sacrificed this guy to this whatever thing, or is April 16th fine because it was always going to be fine and they all just lost their minds sitting in this shack in the woods in Maine, and that none of this was real at all, but they all convinced themselves it was real and then sacrificed this guy innocently.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if we know anything from Stephen King, Maine does weird shit to your head.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, I want that movie. If For the Plasma is not that version, I say we make our version.
Yeah.
All right, I'm down. And if it's not, what would we call our April 16th? That goes down. Just give it all away. Oh God.
Yeah, fucking ours is just called like The Collapse.
Oh, ooh, I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
The Collapse. I like that. Okay. Well, there you go, folks. Coming to a theater near you or far away or
by
never.
the end of 2025, we'll have The Collapse.
The Collapse
on VOD and very select movie theaters.
Whatever ones we can pay to go into. All right, what was that called again? April 16th, Dow goes down. April 16th. All right, we have to remember that date now and actually watch the market and see if we predicted anything. That's hilarious.